Hidden among the historical structures of Hartland is the story of a spectacular boom of creative energy that swept our little village in the 1930s and 40s. Hartland weavers innovated endless patterns and designs, wrote and held classes to teach the skill of weaving to students of all walks of life, and even hosted the very first National Weaving Institute, just down the street at Waldenwoods Retreat Center. The amazing story of weaving in Hartland, and the legacy it has left on our village almost a century later, begins with a man who spent his childhood in Hartland and envisioned a community better connected to one another and to the joy and purpose of their work. J. Robert Crouse, businessman and philanthropist, retired in his hometown of Hartland in the late 1920s after much success in the electrical industry in Ohio, which he had pursued with his father and uncle. Energetic and inspired to serve his community, Mr. Crouse established the Hartland Area Project as a way to serve the hardworking Hartland area, which was mainly a farming community at the time. Among his many projects, Mr. Crouse established a humble handcraft community in 1933, a project which he entitled Cromaine Crafts, to learn a skill that could earn them income as the effects of the Great Depression rippled through the community.
His quote was, "I was born in Hartland and I perchance shall die in Hartland, and before I do, I'd like to work out my one last project, which was the Hartland Area Project." And it was, I guess, what I've always felt was he wanted to do for the people of this rural agricultural community. He wanted to provide some of the amenities that people in a big city might have.
Osma Palmer Couch, a leading figure in the weaving industry in New York, was invited to run the program in Hartland. She instructed Hartland residents of all ages on the art of weaving and other crafts. Though community members learned pottery, basket making, bookbinding, metalworking, and other handcrafts, it was weaving that quickly rose as the main craft of Hartland. With Osma's help, a weaving studio opened in the old Hartland Mill on February 11, 1934. The grand opening of Cromaine Crafts showcased products from both the working mill and the new Cromaine Craft Store, including flower samples from the mill and handmade goods from the creative hands of the Hartland community. Initially facing difficulty obtaining looms for weaving, Hartland residents began to build their own. Two woodworkers, Jack and Abner Guernsey, handcrafted weaving looms in the lower level of the mill, which was known as the Men's Craft Shop. They were shortly joined by their friend, Milo Gallinger, a designer and producer of furniture for large production factories. Milo's woodworking expertise and Osma's weaving skills made for a successful and rapidly growing shop. Milo and Osma made a wonderful team, and a relationship formed between the two crafters. By 1934, Milo and Osma had married and moved to a farm on Hibner Road. The pair continued their work in Hartland, and interest in weaving continued to grow as new students joined Cromaine Crafts to learn the skill. The talented Hartland weavers took great pride in creating their own products that were both beautiful in design and practical in use. Many women in Hartland wore beautiful articles of clothing that they had designed and woven themselves. There was a great pride in the beauty and usefulness of the hand-woven items, and both hand-weaving and loom production grew rapidly in Hartland. With the ever-growing success of Cromaine Crafts, the weavers quickly outgrew the little Hartland Mill. By the summer of 1935, they had moved their shop into the old Mill Tavern on Avon Street, which would become their crafting home for another 40 years. Students traveled from several states to receive education at the Hartland Craft Shop. Even radio programs featured information from Cromaine Crafts, and many other enterprises developed from this once small gathering of weavers. More instructors were hired to teach the art of weaving, including experienced Swedish weaver Mrs. Martina Lindahl. The youngest of 5 children, Martina spent more than 14 years as a student in Sweden learning craftwork such as weaving, spinning, knitting, crocheting, woodwork, carving, and other art before coming to the U.S. in 1903. She handcrafted an impressive number of pieces, including wall hangings, tablecloths, cushions, bedspreads, upholstery materials, placemats, dress material, and other items. Martina was a creative and unique weaver with incredible skill, and her expertise was widely appreciated by the Hartland community. By 1939, Cromaine Crafts had been renamed to Hartland Area Crafts, and Martina took over responsibility for the shop to allow Osma Gallinger to open a sister weaving shop in Howell. Honora P. Gardner wrote for Michigan Challenge in 1964 that hand-weaving is a fascinating craft, and the men and women who weave are warm, generous, creative people always eager to share the dynamics of their craft. And share they did. As Osma worked in the Howell shop in Martina and Hartland, Mr. Crouse worked with both weavers to form the first National Weaving Institute. The event was held at Waldenwoods, a sprawling property beloved and managed by the Crouse family, in June of 1938. Over the course of 2 weeks, weavers enjoyed a variety of classes and pattern demonstrations throughout the day, and cozy fireside chats filled the evenings. The National Weaving Institute brought weavers together from all over the country to work together and exchange ideas in a picturesque and peaceful setting. Bertha Hayes, a renowned weaver from the East Coast, traveled to Waldenwoods each summer to enjoy the National Weaving Institute. She created a commemorative stitch pattern for each year that she attended, many of which feature local names such as the dainty Flower of Cromaine pattern, the Walden Weave pattern, and the Gallinger gem. A song was even written in dedication to Cromaine Crafts by Dr. Dora H. Stockman, in the hope that it may contribute in a small way to the useful, beautiful, joyous craft of weaving, in June of 1938. It's amazing to see the impact that Cromaine Crafts and weaving in Hartland had on the residents of our community and beyond. Many weavers and creatives seem to have taken inspiration from the creativity and innovation sparked by the Weaving Initiative in Hartland. At the same time that Hartland hosted the first National Weaving Institute, Hartland-made textile art was reaching a wider audience of consumers than ever. Hartland Craft Shop goods were sold in more than 300 stores nationwide, including Macy's, Hudson's, and Lord & Taylor in New York and Los Angeles. Even London sold products made by Hartland weavers. New York's Museum of Science and Industry even hosted a Cromaine Crafts exhibit featuring handmade looms and textile art. The high-quality Hartland looms, made at first for local usage, sold internationally as well. Milo Gallinger invented a repeater loom in 1938, which allowed for multiple people to work on the same loom. As space was often an issue when teaching weaving classes in schools, the repeater loom gained much popularity and appreciation from the local community and beyond. Crafting continued in Hartland, mostly unchanged until 1940, when a cyclone blew down the barn at the Gallinger home on Hibner Road. Milo used the old beams from the barn to build Osma a weaving studio, and the pair continued their work from the farm, closing down the craft shop in Howell. They continued their work from there until 1944, when the pair moved to Guernsey, Pennsylvania. The departure of the Gallingers, along with the passing of J.R. Crouse in July of 1946, left a deep sense of loss in the Hartland community. Although the weavers continued their beautiful work, subtle changes in following years affected the composition of Hartland area crafts. Without a gathering space in the Gallingers shop, 200 weavers in Livingston County still managed to meet each month, with a different member leading each meeting to teach new weaving structures. Without Milo Gallinger crafting looms, Martina Lindahl's son Clifford began producing the Lindahl loom at the brick store on Avon Street in 1946. He had crafted his first loom in high school and returned to Hartland after his military service to continue making looms until 1959. His custom-built looms were especially unique and useful because they were made to accommodate differently abled and handicapped weavers. Across the street in the Hartland Craft Shop, Clifford's mother Martina continued to teach weaving until she retired in 1951 due to her failing eyesight. Though the Hartland area craft shop saw new owners, Martina didn't stay retired for long. She was soon working in the loom shop across the street with her son and daughter-in-law, spinning unique pieces and occasionally sharing her weaving knowledge with enthusiastic students. The late 1950s brought a small resurgence of energy to the weaving community in Hartland. Iliff Ox purchased the craft shop in 1957, and Detroit Weaving Guilds visited the shop for classes and tours. Iliff also helped to form a statewide association for weaving in Michigan, which met on the grounds of Waldenwoods just like the first National Weaving Institute did in 1938. The Michigan League of Handweavers was officially established at Waldenwoods on July 24, 1959, and the conference drew enthusiastic weavers to Hartland from all over the country, a few of which had also been present at the first National Weaving Institute 2 decades prior. Mrs. Ox continued her work in the Michigan League of Handweavers until 1970, when she sold the craft shop on Avon Street and moved to California. This, along with the rerouting of the highway around Hartland instead of through it, slowed the weaving boom in Hartland. Today, there is very little commercial weaving in Hartland compared to the production of nearly 100 years ago. But even though much has changed in the village of Hartland, the Hartland Area Project and Cromaine Crafts have left an everlasting quality of innovation, cooperation, and creative expression in our community. We are proud of our local artists who follow in the footsteps of the Hartland weavers in their own ways by creating art in many forms that is unique, expressive, and beautiful. The legacy of weaving also lives on in the Black Sheep Weavers Guild of Hartland. The Black Sheep Weavers pursue textile art both for pleasure and for profit, marrying J.R. Crouse's vision of Hartland crafts as things useful and beautiful to the future of Hartland. Nearly 100 years after the crafting boom in our little town, the Hartland tradition of work ethic and artistic talent continues to thrive in this passionate and talented group.